When you're rehabbing a patellar tendon, you want to do everything gradually. If you follow the four-stage process, this is kind of already happening, but there are some things you can do to make your approach even more gentle so you don't run into any flare-ups. What you need to pay attention to is load and loading rate. If you're doing stage 1 isometrics, there is no loading rate because you're not moving. There's just load. If you have a very bad patellar tendon, you might need to start with a little bit easier load and adjust over time. So if you're doing a leg extension, start a little bit lighter, build up heavier over time. If you're doing a Spanish squat, start off standing a little bit higher, go a little bit deeper over time. When you get to stage 2 isotonics, now you have some loading rate because you're actually moving. So the way to manage that is to start off with a controlled eccentric and a controlled concentric. You can build up to do a little bit faster reps over time, which will increase the loading rate. To manage the load, you should start off with lighter weights. So maybe you're doing sets of, let's say, 10, and you build up to sets of maybe 5 over time. When it comes to stage 3 store and release, this is where the most patellar tendon flare-ups are going to come because your load is going to be consistent at body weight, and the loading rate is going to be high because you're jumping. So the most obvious fixes are to start off by not jumping as high, maybe jump at 50% and build up the intensity over time. Or you can choose lower intensity jumps, like a standing box jump is going to be less load than an approach box jump. But there's another option that's rarely talked about that will decrease your load and decrease your loading rate to give you a very gentle approach back into plyometrics. This is something Greg Hawthorne talked about in our podcast about band-assisted jumps.
You're assisting, but it's also slowing you down as you land. So as you're doing the repeated jumps, if you're doing repeated jumps, as you're landing, it's actually slowing you down. So you not only do you have a decrease in rate, you have to have a decrease in load, you have a decrease in rate.
So if you're getting back to jumping after stage 1 and stage 2, or you've just taken time off from jumping, the band-assisted jump is a great way to gradually get your patellar tendon used to this action with less load and less loading rate, so you're very unlikely to experience more pain during and more pain the next day. Try it out. Enjoy.